on Hear Them Out with Hannah Mears / a little Westmoreland Sports Network preview for our game this week, our state playoff game between Reynolds and Jeannette. And I am here with Roberto Smith Jr., who is a senior on Jeannette and now a WPIAL champion. Roberto, what is it like to hear your name alongside the title WPIAL champion?
It took a little bit to sink in, but now that I'm hearing it, it sounds really nice.
And I saw a picture on Twitter. I have to ask, you were sitting there with the trophy, kind of just laid back on the bench, feeling really good after the win. So were you feeling like the man?
Kinda, but for the most part, I was just soaking it in and realizing what we accomplished.
And I did see as well the Gatorade bath that was given to Coach Roy Hall. What was his reaction to that? Was he excited about it, or was he he looked like he was running away?
I think he knew it was coming, but for the most part, he was probably excited until he fell. But that was a little bit funny, just because he's fine.
Of course, it's always funny after the fact, right? But this is the 10th time in school history that the Jeannette Jayhawks have won a WPIAL championship, and it's your first time with them, which is exciting. But this game in general, let's talk about the game you just played against Clairton. They're the #1 team coming in. You had lost to them 34-28 earlier this season, like way earlier. And then you mercy roll them in the WPIAL championship game, despite things happening with injuries and everything going on that happened to that game that could have caused the outcome. Without a doubt, we have seen the Jeannette Jayhawks continue to peak and peak and peak throughout the season. You're peaking at the right times. So how dominant do you guys feel as a team right now?
Right now, we feel pretty dominant. We just take whatever game plan the coaches give us for defense or offense, and we try to practice it and execute it as best as we can as a team.
Were you surprised at all by the Clairton outcome? I mean, losing to them earlier in the season, I'm sure you were going into that game feeling a little worried about what the outcome could be. So how surprised were you by the outcome of that game?
I wasn't really worried that much about whether we would lose or not. I had all the confidence in the world in our team, but like Coach Hall said himself, I'd be lying if I expected that to be the final score.
Yeah, and I think a lot of us would. I mean, just because of the respect you have to have for the Clairton team. They're a team that's traditionally been in the championship, won the championship, and has moved forward. And I think it's the first time since like 2004 that they haven't. And that's because the Jeannette Jayhawks have stepped up. And you were a guy on the field that is so versatile. I mean, you do everything. It exhausts me to have to read all your stats after the game. 47 yards rushing, 31 passing yards. You kicked a field goal, an interception, and a fumble recovery. I mean, are you exhausted after doing all that on the field?
Sometimes, yeah, a little bit, but for the most part, I try not to think about like all the stuff I do, especially when other players are having big games like Jaden Kennedy did.
But how important is it for you, though, to be able to provide your team when they need it most with the position that they need most?
I think it's really important, especially this year, because Jeannette just like as a team doesn't have as many players as it's used to. So for me to be able to do as many things as I can is like a really big part of what helps us win games.
Have you ever had experience in a bunch of these different roles, or is this something that you just decided to step up and take on because you felt like your team needed you?
Before I transferred, I mean, I didn't play as many positions at Greensburg, but I did like I'd switch between quarterback and receiver a little bit, and I played a couple different positions on defense. But I don't think before this year I ever did like as much as a single player in as many spots.
Have you found a favorite spot on the field, though? You got to try out just about everything you can think of.
Although I might not be the best, I think my favorite is kicking the ball.
Really?
Yeah, it's just really cool
That
and
surprises
fun.
me a lot. Do you think it's a little bit more of a challenge sometimes? Is that what makes it fun?
Yeah, just the challenge of because I mean we all seen I missed a couple, so just to know that it's like not automatic for me to be good makes it fun.
That's interesting. So, if you had to pick a position, kicker might be where we see you, but I'm sure coming up on Friday this weekend, kicking isn't something your team is mostly trying to pull from you. We learned recently the news about Brad Birch, and so
Yeah.
sad because that kid is a freshman quarterback who was just making an absolute record for himself this year. When you talked about Jeannette Jayhawks, it was really hard not to talk about him in the quarterback position. So we're praying for you and hope you recover well, Brad. But the quarterback position now becomes something moving into state playoffs that needs to be filled. And it was filled a bit by you last game. So is that a role that you're going to be taking over, or are we expecting possibly Jimmy Sanders in the quarterback position?
For the most part, it will be me, as far as I'm aware, but we will see a lot more James at quarterback than we have this year.
That's good. You got to keep switching it up. I know this Jayhawks team likes to do that. Very versatile, like we talked about. But for you personally, um, what does it mean to you that Brad, a freshman quarterback, was able to get you guys to this point despite an injury?
Uh, it means a lot. It just shows how important he was to this program and the spark he brought to this team. Because the last couple years, Jeanette has been like knocked out of the playoffs kind of earlier than most like fans and people expect, and he was just able to bring a new dynamic to the way football is played here and get us back.
And he always talks about you guys having like a tight knit team, though. So have you felt that from this team this year? Because you're a transfer in. So how accepted have you felt by this Jayhawks team, and how well do you think you all mesh?
Uh, they accepted me from the first day I got here, and like it's just a family type team. It's like most schools, is like it's just not as tight. Like we're all friends in school, out of school, and football, out of football. We all support each other when our friends are playing other sports and like going to watch them do stuff. And we're all just like pretty much a family here.
I love that. It definitely comes off on the field of play without a doubt. And you're going to need as much of that as you can this weekend. Like we said, going in with the potential starting quarterback out, you may have to fill the shoes of that. Jimmy Sanders may have to fill the shoes of that position. How are you trying to still recreate your offense while still keeping the consistency and things that have been working this season for you to become WPIAL champions? How are you trying to keep that moving forward into Reynolds? Or is anything such a big change where you guys are a little nervous about your offense going into this game?
We're not really changing much, bro. We're just gonna run the offense as if Brad was there. The coaches have all the confidence in the world, and me as a quarterback and us as a team to not miss a beat, no matter who's back at quarterback, whether it's me, James, or even Brad. Although he's out.
It's a lot about the things that you do on the field. So I'm curious, what are you thinking about your future plans now that you're a senior and the season is starting to wind down?
I haven't really found a college yet, but I have been applying, and I've been hoping to get some offers maybe. As far as my major once college comes, I haven't figured that out yet either, but I'm hoping to get that soon.
I mean, I'm still trying to figure out what I want to be when I grow up, so it's okay. But I'm really excited that you're at least thinking about it. Your head's in the right place. Some of my last questions for you. I just want to know some rapid fire questions. If you could describe this 2020 Jeannette Jayhawks team in one word, what would it be?
Uh, one word.
It can be a phrase too, a word or
I
phrase.
would go with tough
Tough. Okay, that's always a
because
good choice.
uh yeah, tough. Or Coach Hall's favorite 4-5-6, don't quit.
Four,
Because
five, six.
just
Don't
this
quit. Where
team,
does
there's a
that
lot
come
of points
from?
in the season. Yeah. Just like when your back's against the wall, or like a perfect example, the Springdale game. We could have easily down 21, just quit, gave up, worried about the next week. But like we banded together and like came through with a win and didn't quit on each other and play for each other.
Moving into the game this weekend against Reynolds, what is the mood of this team? Are you still on the WPIAL Championship high coming into this game?
No, we knew that we had to put that behind us kind of fast and focus on a bigger goal, trying to make it to the state championship, and that we just had to like focus up quick and know that this isn't a team to look past and a game to just look past.
How do you want Jayhawk Nation to remember you?
Uh, I just want them to remember me as a person that did whatever it took to win, whether it was kicking. Even if I had to punt at some point, I would do it if it meant we could win the game.